Hello, welcome to Africa Development Network. And my friends, I'm glad that you are here today as part of the persons that will be part of the development of the continent of Africa. The vision of Africa Development Network is to create a platform that will network a whole lot of professionals scattered all over the earth, over 9.8 billion people scattered all over the earth, and have come to realize that it is time for the building of the African continent. We have come to realize that several countries all over the world and several nations that have gotten their independence, even after Africa have gotten, many nations in Africa have gotten their independence. We have come to realize that most of them have actually developed, like Sierra Leone and several of them. But you find out that several African nations, about since 1950s, have gotten their independence, but it looks as if there have not been a kind of commensurate development when it has to do with the independence that we received as Africans. And this is our commitment as an African institution to make sure that we network Africans everywhere, all over the world, from Asia, Europe, the Caribbeans, the United States, and even back home in Africa. And our commitment is to see how we could put our intelligence together, how we could put our expertise together to see that Africa becomes what God has actually designed this continent to be. In this broadcast today, which is sponsored by iGold Africa. iGold Africa is an abridged form of initiative for good governance, leadership, and economic development, and is also sponsored by the FAITHHOUSE Transformation Assembly that is committed to the committed to inculcating values, a kind of inculcating values into people, inculcating values into systems, inculcating values that are all centered around development of the human race. And also the Leeds Business and Finance Company Limited. These three arms have actually been part of the sponsorship of this video, so that we can use it as a platform to reach out to several Africans. And for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Barrister Kenna Emmanuel. I am the president of these three arms. And one of the things that I'll be doing is to make sure that I bring you videos on how our continent, Africa, can actually receive transformation and development. I'm a Nigerian. If you are watching this video outside the shores of Nigeria, I want you to first and foremost look at other previous videos we have done in this regard. And one of the things you're going to do for me is to look at the website that is there, the iGold website, and then log in and then find yourself in different spheres of influence and be part of this movement that will give birth to the transformation and the global manifestation of the destiny of the African continent. You can also look at the phone number there and then connect with us on WhatsApp or give us a call that this is what you're doing in your country. Our job is to see where everyone that is involved in what we're doing. I cannot actually say that we're the only ones doing what I'm doing now. I believe that, as a Christian, Elijah was complaining and was telling God that he is actually the only one that is remaining among the prophets. But God told him that he has actually reserved about 7,000 persons who have not bowed down to the image of God. There are certain persons who are going to come across this video, or you have your friends who have the same passion that I have, who have the same vision, who have the same mission that I have, to see that the continent of Africa gets developed. So whether you are in China, whether you're in Australia, Sweden, United States, whether you are in United Kingdom, Ukraine, or you are in Ghana, you are in Ivory Coast, you are in Liberia, you are in Nigeria, everywhere you are, as long as you are an African, you are expected to find yourself, so that we can navigate together, so that we can share ideas together, so we can exchange platforms. You come over to our platform, I come over to your platform, and we share these ideas together, because I know there are a lot of persons who are burdened, who are worried about the development of the African continent. And that's one of the visions of the African Development Network, our commitment to see how we could bring a lot of persons together, professors, doctors, politicians who have the right value system, the medical doctors, the young people, the lawyers, and all walks of life, nurses, anywhere you are, engineers and scientists, everyone that has this passion, please make out time to network with us. Look at the website there, look at what we're doing, and then give us a call, and we're going to work together to see that the time of Africa, we don't lose out again. And my focus, I don't think I'll be able to go through everything I have for today's video. My focus, or the focus of my this broadcast today, has to do with what I entitled the role of religious institutions as a catalyst for the development of Africa. The role of religious institutions for the development of Africa. In actual fact, you can actually rephrase it and call it the role of religious institutions as a catalyst for national development. And when we talk about national development, we're talking about individual nations and also the continent of Africa. For the purpose of this broadcast, and subsequently as we make progress, we're going to be looking at what different religious groups can actually do in order to give birth to the development of Africa. I'm a Christian, and I want to first and foremost start talking about what the church can actually do to make sure that there is the transformation, the development of our continent and the development of my nation, Nigeria. I had to take a lot of time to think about a whole lot of things, even in this COVID-19. Today being the 17th day of May 2020, that this video is being broadcasted live all the way from Owerri, Imo State. I began to look at the greatest disadvantage that the church has actually faced because of this COVID-19. A lot of churches, a lot of church leaders were actually complaining why the churches should be shut down and why markets should be open. A lot of persons have their own opinion about this. I've taken some time to think about this, and I've prayed about it as a Christian, and I don't mean any harm. I don't mean to insult anybody. It is not in my habit to insult anybody, but I think that wherever this video is going to get across, it's going to stir up, I believe it's going to stir up a whole lot of revolution, a whole lot of transformation. It's going to be the part A of the role of the church, or the church as a catalyst for the development of Africa. I want us to know that whenever the system of a particular nation is under the siege of corruption, under the siege of deterioration, it will always be traced to the issue of value system. I believe so strongly that apart from the church, there are other religious institutions that can actually come together. I'm going to talk about that on a later broadcast. But today I am focusing on the church, on how the church can make a whole lot of contributions. I did a little analysis about several church denominations that have spread all over Africa, East Africa, West Africa, North Africa. I've come to realize that the church has made tremendous impact and input, especially in the area of spiritual contribution. So I did a whole lot of study, kind of an analysis, and I looked at the impact of different churches, the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, and which are the Orthodox, so the Lutheran Church, and I've looked at a lot of contributions all over the world. We have discovered large persons that troop into our churches every Sunday and every weekday. And one wonders why all this so much excitement in the spirit, excitement in the realm of the spirit, music programs, conventions of all kinds, yet we don't have a commensurate impact when it has to do with the development of the continent of Africa. I looked at I had to do analysis of the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace that is in the outskirts of the capital of Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. And I was able to discover that this Basilica of Our Lady of Peace is like an economic hub that can be turned to an economic hub for the transformation of that nation. I've come to also realize that a lot of intellectuals visit that particular Catholic church. In fact, it has been compared to the St. Peter's church in the Vatican. And we've come to realize that over $300 million was actually invested in the development of that place. And it's important that we begin to look at a paradigm shift. It has actually done its own job. Very fine and nice and wonderful building. But it is time, because of the COVID-19, it's time for the church to have a paradigm shift and begin to look at different aspects of our society. I looked at different churches, Action Chapel, that is being pastored by Archbishop Duncan Williams. These are men that I respect. These are men that have actually built systems. I also looked at Dr. Mensa Otabil, who is also one of the persons making waves in the evangelical sector and the charismatic sector. I looked at also Dr. Dag Howard Mills of the Lighthouse Church in Ghana, and different churches scattered over. When you have to come to our country, Nigeria, I believe that Nigeria is the hub of church growth and expansion. You see, God's servant that we respect so much, Pastor Dr. Enoch Adeboye, Dr. David Oyedepo, we of the Living Faith Church, and Pastor Chris Oyakilomi, whose church institution have actually spanned all over Africa and all over the world. You find in these churches every Sunday we have close to about 50,000 people minimum. In Redeemed Church we have close to about 1 million people come and worship in these churches. We have the African Church by Jacob Kayinde Koka. We also have the Deeper Life Christian Ministry by our revered Reverend Pastor Dr. W.F. Kumuyi. We also look at Dr. Daniel Olukoya, who is a first-class graduate of biotechnology, if I am correct. Yes, he studied a biotechnological course. And then we look at the Apostolic Church of Nigeria, the Lost Chosen, that is championed by Pastor Lazarus Moka. We also look at the Church of Jesus Christ, and also the Methodist Church of Nigeria, the Nigerian Baptist Convention, Salvation Ministry International, the one that is in Port Harcourt, headed by God's servant Pastor David Ibiome. We also look at the Dunamis Christian Center that is pastored by Dr. Paul Eneche and his wife, and the Assemblies of God Church scattered all over Africa. These are all mega institutions that have actually done tremendously when it has to do with the development of the spiritual pathway for the continent of Africa. But I've come to realize that it looks as if that with all these large numbers of persons, I've not even mentioned different churches that have about 10,000 people worship the church, like Guest Christian Center and all the rest of them, and even our church, Faith House, Transformation Assembly. I've come to realize as a Christian, as a concerned Christian, I am so worried that we have a lot of people leave these churches every Sunday without a job. We have a lot of people leave these churches every day who don't have direction. We have a lot of people leave these churches every day who cannot actually eat. No matter whatever the church is giving to them as a palliative, no matter the humanitarian or the charity platform that each of the churches have actually created when it has to do with helping people that come to church. The church cannot actually do more. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, to make sure that we put our house in order as Christians and begin to engage our society strategically. I believe that if the aforementioned churches and the church leaders, whether it's the Catholic, whether it's Anglican, whether it's Lutheran, whether it's Equa, whether it's the evangelical and the Pentecostals, there's a whole lot of money that we can actually bring towards the development of our nation, Nigeria, and our continent, Africa. A lot of persons have been criticizing the church. I'm not here to criticize. I've come to let everyone that is listening to me, I don't care your church, I have a lot of respect for the men of God that I've mentioned, and I still have a lot of honor and respect for them. But I want us to realize that God is saying, let me just use that word. God is saying, and I perceive that God is saying that we need to engage our society. Let me come down in practical dimensions. We need to, what will happen, let me take Nigeria as a case study. We look at persons like Pastor Chris Oyakilomi, persons like Dr. David Oyedepo, Pastor David Oweli. We look at persons like Dr. Paul Eneche. We look at persons like Dr. W.F. Kumi, the Archbishop of the Catholic Church in Nigeria, the Archbishop of the Anglican Church in Nigeria. We look at the primate of the Cherubim and Seraphim. We look at also Pastor Enoch Adeboye. About 13 of them coming together and asking the government of Nigeria, because these people have become stakeholders, because they control a lot of people, they make a lot of influence. In fact, they have a lot of influence when it has to do with majority of people that are living in Nigeria. Nigeria has close to about 80 million Christians. And I want to let you know that a system that has the control of 80 million people is not a small system. It's not a system that should be relegated to the background. It's imperative at this particular point in time that I don't know where this video is going to get to. I have a lot of respect for them, and they have actually impacted my life. But I believe that at this particular point in time, it is imperative that they come together. It's imperative that they put their wisdom together. Could you imagine that for close to 17 years running now, the Canaan land where the Living Faith Church is being situated, there have never been any kind of interruption of power. There's 24 hours uninterrupted power supply. There is 24 hours uninterrupted pipe-borne water. There is 24 hours system development going on. And we can't keep waiting and allowing people who do not have vision, who have not actually established a kiosk, to run a system like Nigeria. And it is also applicable in different nations of Africa. I want us to realize this, that could you imagine if we deposit, if we reproduce the kind of system that have been reproduced by God's servant Dr. David Oyedepo in Osun State, reproduce it in Imo State, reproduce it in Lagos, reproduce the same system in Kwara State, in Kaduna, in Sokoto, reproduce it at Abia State, at Enugu, and all over the nation. Could you imagine it's possible? How can a man who have developed a system, how can we have a man that have developed a system? It means it's like an oasis, that in the midst of federal government getting worried about how to get pipe-borne water working, the federal government is worried about the power system. How can we generate a lot of power in order to facilitate our industrialization and make sure that young people get jobs? Because as long as there is no power, we cannot talk about the issue of employment development in this nation. Why can't the system absorb the same system that God's servant Dr. David Oyedepo has developed for more than 28, 30, 33 years now? And this is a system that has been working, and it's like a system that can actually be reproduced anywhere. It is important we have these intelligent people scattered all over Winners Chapel, and we need to get into the system. We can't afford to allow people that are not knowledgeable, people that have not, it's not like you giving someone that have not been able to manage a small kiosk. Someone have not been able to manage a small kiosk, and then you're giving him a supermarket or a grocery shop or you're giving him Walmart to manage, the person is going to mismanage it. With due respect, my spiritual fathers, with due respect to all of you, whether you're Catholic or Anglican that I've actually mentioned, we have actually looked at the implication. You have your members who are members. Your members who have also sisters and brothers in Apostolic Church, in Iqua, in Cherubim, in Assemblies of God, who are also Winner Chapel persons. When this issue of COVID-19 hit the system, it didn't give preferential treatment to a particular church. It hit everybody. And that's why the government came up and shut down the churches, and it looks as if the churches are incapacitated. I am doing this video because this is going to be the part 1. Please, you need to look out for the part 2 of this video on the role of the church as the catalyst for the development of Africa. We need to come to that point where we engage different systems. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about the 8 major systems that the church can actually engage, the religious organizations can actually engage, so that we could have the development of Africa come faster and easier than we expect. Africa is on the verge of transformation. It doesn't matter what China is doing. It doesn't matter what United States is saying. It doesn't matter what United Kingdom is saying. It's time for Africa, and Nigeria is going to play a very important role. And these things are not just wishful thinking programs. They are not just wishful thinking statements. These things are systemized programs that must be installed. The software must be installed in all major earth spheres of influence. And once that is done, the fulfillment of God's plan for the continent of Africa will come to materialization. That's why China is coming to invest. That's why Sweden is coming to invest. That's why America is interested. That's why United Kingdom is interested. That's why the Asian tigers are all interested in Africa, especially Nigeria. And the church, and every of the persons that are involved in the development of the church must get on ground immediately. We need to have a conference. We need to have a meeting. We need to jettison our religious inclinations. We need to jettison our differences and look at the development of our continent, Africa. And when I talk about this, before you begin to say yes, tell them. Before you begin to say tell them, we are talking about people like you. I am talking about people like me. I'm doing my video now to create awareness in this regard. You need to get along and share this video to your friends, and let's begin to work together. You are a doctor, you are a lawyer, you are a businessman, you are a student, you're a student leader, you're a youth leader. You cannot do it alone. I cannot do it alone. The continent is very, very large. The nation is very, very large. Whether you are from Kenya, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cameroon. It doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're North Africa, South Africa, East Africa, and West Africa. We need to begin to come together because it's time for the development of Africa. This is our vision. This is our commitment. This is our drive. In this system, the African Development Network. I want you to know one thing, is that you that is watching me, when I mean you can actually do something. You can actually do something. Yes, I'm speaking to you. I have to stand up to speak to you. You can actually do something in that particular area you find yourself, more especially when you are a Christian. If you are a Christian, I believe that you're watching this video is that you are a Christian. I'm going to talk about Muslims in a later edition. I'm going to talk about different religions in a later edition of this video. But now, I am categorically talking about and talking to Christians anywhere we are. We need to wake up. We need to begin to bring value systems and inculcate it in our educational sector to see that Africa becomes the glory land, and all the nations of the earth will navigate to Africa. The same way we go for holidays in Dubai, the same way we go for holidays in Singapore, the same way we make instances and make examples of how America is, how United Kingdom is, how Sweden is, how Australia is. I want to let you know that we have a good weather in Nigeria, we have a good weather in Africa. It's time for those people to come and visit our continent. And you and I, we are the ones that are going to make it work. And that's why you need to connect with me on the number that is on your screen. Also check our website on i-goldafrica.com. Click on that video and then share to your friends on the like button, and also like it and be part of this movement. Before I close, my name is Barrister Ken Emmanuel. I'm the international president of the African Development Network, which is the branch of the iGold Africa. iGold means Initiative for Good Governance, Leadership and Economic Development. I'm also the senior pastor of Faith House Transformation Assembly and the president of the Lease Africa Business and Finance Limited. Please be part of us. Let's work together and see that our continent, Africa, becomes a home. Thank you. See you in the next video. God bless you.